It's 46 days to the presidential and parliamentary elections. Good afternoon and welcome to Election Brief with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, all social media handles and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Election headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, are together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty, Chopbox Technologies, a convenient service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. Now today in Parliament, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has adjourned sitting in the House amid vacant seats controversy. Now, this decision was made in a House filled with the NDC legislators who had occupied the majority side of the aisle. Now, the NPP MPs had walked out earlier due to a controversy with the opposition who had taken over their seats. We will go for the Speaker's comments shortly, but first, during the brief proceedings, the Speaker agreed with Francis Xavier Susu that the record should be corrected to reflect that on Thursday, when the NPP group walked out, they were the minority.
To draw your attention to the same item, the paragraph 5, the ending statement, which is majority caucus in inverted commas. Mr. Speaker, I think the true intention will be reflected there when we say that the minority caucus staged a walkout instead of a majority caucus in inverted commas. So if the correction can be made to reflect what was there. Thank you.
Now, leading the NPP MPs out of the chamber earlier, MP for Efutu, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, said they were retreating to office to wait directives from the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, on the way forward. According to Afenyo-Markin, they chose the path of peace rather than confronting their opponents to avoid chaos, insisting that Ghana is a peaceful country and that should be maintained as such.
When the Speaker made this pronouncement and the majority caucus disagreed with Mr. Speaker, we didn't cause commotion here. We left quietly and told Mr. Speaker that the right place to express those grievances will be at the court. So we expect our brothers and our sisters on the NDC minority side to do the needful. But all would be for Mr. Speaker to make a final determination. The nation is looking up to Mr. Speaker. All his years in politics, this is a crucial moment for him to add weight to what we have done to preserve the peace. MPP is for peace. MPP is for peace. MPP is for peace of Ghana. We will not allow anybody to disturb the peace of the country. It is a notorious fact that we remain the majority caucus of this parliament.
We can now listen to the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, on the adjournment of the House amid vacant seat controversy.
Honourable members, as you may recall, on Thursday, I informed the House, pursuant to Standing Order 18 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, on the occurrence of vacancies in the House in relation to 4 honourable members. Yesterday, I received a process from the Supreme Court, which is a ruling from the Supreme Court pursuant to an ex parte application directing Parliament to recognize and allow the 4 affected members of Parliament to duly represent their constituents and conduct full scope of duties of their offices as members of Parliament pending the final determination of a suit filed by Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin. By Article 102 of the Constitution, 1992, and Order 64.1 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, I note that we currently have a quorum to transact business, but not to take decisions. I want to read the said Article 102 of the Constitution. It reads, "A quorum of Parliament, apart from the person presiding, shall be 1/3 of all the members of Parliament." As presently constituted, the numbers definitely is far above 1/3 of the members of Parliament. But by Article 104, the numbers are not sufficient for us to take decisions. And I'll quote Article 104. Article 104.1 says, "Except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present." Honorable members, we don't have at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Consequently, in view of the current circumstances, the fact that there is a question on the composition and constitution of Parliament, and having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in Parliament, I will proceed to, in accordance with Standing Orders 59, adjourn the House indefinitely. That is sine die. I want to quote Standing Orders 59.1. It says, "The Speaker may, in consultation with leadership, suspend a meeting of the House indefinitely or for a period determined by the Speaker, having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in the country." Honorable members, I have consulted leadership, and I am exercising my discretion to decide to suspend the meeting of the House indefinitely. The House is accordingly adjourned sine die.
All right, guys, welcome back. So let's just talk to Honorable Cletus Avoka, and let's pick some reactions from him as well. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Hello, good afternoon.
Thank you to all your viewers.
Thank you so much, Honorable. So I'd like to take your initial reaction. Was this what was expected in Parliament today?
Pardon?
Was this what the NDC side expected in Parliament today?
Yes, not only NDC members, but I think that well-meaning Ghanaians who want the peace of the country, who want the democracy of the country and the well-being of the country were expecting this of ruling. So the ruling satisfied not just NDC members, but the generality of the people of this country.
Okay. So before, on Sunday, when we listened to your press briefing, the country was quite expectant. Now, what then happens to your plans of repealing your e-levy and the betting tax? What then happens to it?
Well, the Speaker's ruling is very clear on the subject. One, if it is only the NDCP who are in Parliament, yes, we form 1/3 of the quorum needed to undertake debate, to do debate or to do business. But we don't have half of the members of Parliament on our side to be able to take a decision that would be binding. So therefore, whatever our aspirations are, legally we cannot undertake them because of the numbers.
Okay. So earlier today, Afenyo-Markin mentioned that, Honorable Afenyo-Markin mentioned that it's important that you maintain peace. Now, how can both sides work together to ensure a peaceful atmosphere if Parliament is recalled?
Well, I would expect that the leadership of the two sides and then some other senior Ghanaians will engage. I think at this stage, it is important that we have constructive engagement between the two sides of the political divide. And then, of course, some senior members of the House, like of the country, like Peace Council, etc. So if they are able to engage for the next few days, we may find ourselves in a position to resume. That is left to leadership and the Speaker.
Honorable, let me stay with you for a second. So was there consensus among the members of Parliament in the NDC to take the side of majority in Parliament today?
Yes, there's no doubt. We had that consensus.
Did you not anticipate any form of chaos?
No, we don't believe in chaos. You saw what happened this morning. Before, very early in the morning, it was the minority, former majority chief whip, and then now current minority chief whip, Honorable Anodompre, who was in the chamber very, very early. And then very, very early. And then even though they said that the chamber will open at 8 o'clock, by 7 o'clock, he was seated there. For whatever reasons, only God knows. And secondly, you saw that all along the street, the MPP members, both women and men, were all massing up to go to Parliament House. For whatever reason, nobody knows. So you didn't see that on the NDC side. So we were not prepared for any chaos or violence.
Are you not concerned? We still have some 46 days to elections. Government business must still happen. Are you not concerned that Parliament is adjourned indefinitely?
As a Ghanaian, yes, I will be concerned. But doing business in the House is in the bosom of the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and the majority leader. And whatever position they find themselves, even the Constitution and the Standing Order provide that if the party that forms government has few members of Parliament in Parliament, they can still go ahead and do business. It depends on the consensus that they build, and then the fact that the country first, the nation first, and the other political consideration or party consideration second. I expect the majority side or the government side, now that we call them government side, to be sober and reflect, and then it makes sure that they engage so that government business can be done. We are all interested in doing government business because we are all Ghanaians.
All right, Honorable.
We want the welfare of the country.
Honorable, I'll hold you on for a minute and go to the Member of Parliament for Old Tafel constituency in the Ashanti region, Honorable Vincent Eko Asifa. Hello, good afternoon, Honorable. Can you hear me? All right, so how do you assess Speaker Alban's handling the situation today? Do you feel his approach really promotes some form of fairness or maybe?
Well, I think the effect of the Honorable Speaker's ruling is that, one, indeed, the MPP side is still the majority in Parliament. The MPP side is not government side as portrayed by the Honorable Cletus Avoka, my senior in Parliament. What the Speaker sought to do, or if like the effect of his ruling, also indicate that indeed he understands that there is a ruling from the Supreme Court. He just didn't say these words clearly. He just didn't go straight to the point. But if you look at his ruling, he underscored the importance of the ruling from the Supreme Court.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Let's just stay on that before you go to the next part of your answer. I'm surprised because he quoted Article 104 of the Constitution, which was quite clear. I didn't hear him cite the ruling from the Supreme Court.
Of course, he didn't, but that's what I'm saying, that the effect of what he said is what I'm interpreting to you, because if the Speaker of Parliament says that they have a quorum, or if like the members of Parliament in the chamber at the time have a quorum to conduct business. However, they do not have the requisite number to conduct business and make decisions. When we are making decisions, the Constitution says that you need more than half of members of parliament. So when you check the numbers, the question is, if the speaker is saying that they do not have the numbers to take decision, what does that mean? What that means is that the status quo ante has been restored. He now recognizes the ruling of the speaker of the ruling of the Supreme Court, because the MPP and the independent candidates was 138 and the NDC is 137. If 138 is not in parliament, that is when they do not have the numbers. But if indeed the Speaker of Parliament knew that the NDC had their 136, that is minus the 4 MPs that he declared as not members of parliament anymore, what that means is that they would have had the majority, or they would have been more than half to have been able to carry on business.
Is this to suggest to me that you anticipated this decision? This is why the NPP decided not to stay in chamber. Did you anticipate that if you walked out with your numbers, then you could not transact business today?
We walked out of the chamber because we did not want to have any brow whatsoever with the NDC. We had already indicated that we were going to behave maturely. We know that the ruling from the Supreme Court stayed in the hands of the Speaker and the ruling that he gave. So the status quo ante has been restored. If the status quo ante has been restored, then it means that the MPP side is still the majority. In Parliament, the majority side sits on the right-hand side of the Speaker of Parliament. And so when we came and we realized that the NDC was now sharing our side, the good thing, the best thing to have for MPP to have done to ensure that there's peace and tranquility, so that we do not repeat what happened on the 6th of January 2021, was to make sure that we walk out peacefully to allow the rule of law to take a course. Now I see that the rule of law has taken its course. The Speaker of Parliament...
I'm with you. I'm sorry.
He just didn't be straight. He just didn't go straight to the point as to what the ruling of the Supreme Court actually meant. But all that he said, in effect, means that there is a stay of execution on his ruling.
But Parliament is adjourned indefinitely. You have only 46 to the change of government. Even if the NPP wins, it will mean that it's a change of government. It will not be the same people taking decisions. Do you not have government business to transact?
We have a lot of government business to transact. In the circumstances, what we have at our disposal is that 40 or 42 members can requisition Speaker of Parliament, if you like, can sign and call on the Speaker of Parliament to recall or to reconvene Parliament. He is obliged under the standing orders of Parliament to call back Parliament within 7 days when those signatures have been submitted and a letter, or if you like, a memo is attached to same to the Speaker of Parliament. And within 7 days, that should be done. Don't forget, we're in an election year. And per the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, election years, you cannot have an appropriation that is more than you cannot pass an appropriation that is more than 3 months. Right. The first 3 months appropriation will have to be passed. And so we are looking forward to be able to make sure that we will do that. Okay. Aside that, there are a number of bills that is in front of Parliament, and Parliament will also have to look at those bills. So there are a number of government businesses that we intend to deal with. And so I think that leadership will consider after they have had their own meetings to see if they can requisition Speaker of Parliament to call back Parliament.
Okay, don't go yet. Please hold on there. Let me talk to Honorable Kofi Adams. Now, so what steps do you believe should be taken to resolve the sitting issue and restore order in Parliament?
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and good afternoon to colleagues that I'm engaging with now. First and foremost, let me state clearly that Mr. Speaker never mentioned any figures in his indication. So to suggest that Mr. Speaker was referencing 138 was to peddle falsehood. Mr. Speaker always said we did not have the requisite numbers as per Article 104 to take decision. So whether it was based on 271 members or 275, Mr. Speaker did not say so.
Could that be
truth
accurate?
of the matter, truth of the matter, however, is also that not all 136 members of NDC were in the House.
I never said so.
Some members of the Finance
you have to correct
Committee,
him. I never said
some
so.
members of the Finance Committee were not present because
I never
they
said
have
so.
traveled for
you would have your
a
time
national
to explain.
assignment. So the Speaker did not base his ruling on 271 or 275. He did not mention any number. So for him to suggest that because they were not in, and that was why we didn't have 138, and that was the basis upon which Mr. Speaker was saying we did not have the requisite number for a decision, is false.
But Mr. Kofi Adams, what does Article 104 really mean if it says that majority members? What does that mean?
Well, Article 104 says majority of all the members of Parliament. Currently, the position I have and what the NDC side have is that we do not have 4 members of Parliament. They are not available. So it brings the number now down to 271. And so if it is 271, more than half will be what? 136. But we did not have the 136 today because some members of the NDC are out attending the spring meeting in Washington, performing state business, parliamentary business on behalf of the state. So they were not available. So not all 136 members of NDC were present. So if the Speaker said we did not have the requisite number in terms of Article 104, Honorable Asefua cannot be putting words in the mouth of Mr. Speaker that he said so because we did not make up 138, and that Mr. Speaker is admitting the directive from the Supreme Court.
I'll let Mr. Asefua react to this. So that's my understanding of the Article 104. But you are telling that it infers that the numbers.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, so please go on. Yes.
So, my dear brother, Honorable Kofi Adams, please, respectfully, don't misquote me. Don't, respectfully. I said that the effect, in my understanding, and I have every right to put any interpretation whatsoever on what the Speaker of Parliament said on the floor of Parliament today. I'm saying that the effect of what he said, and per the numbers, if you say that you have the quorum, but you don't have the numbers to be able to pass a decision, it comes back to the law and the numbers again. And mind you, there wasn't any roll call on the floor of Parliament because we all watched. You did not have any roll call to suggest that indeed you were not up to 136. So the point I'm trying to make is that it is a subtle admission that indeed the MPP is still the majority in Parliament because that number, which is the 138, was not in Parliament to have given any approval or whatsoever to Parliament to make a decision or to even consider making a decision. So that's the point I made. I did not say that
Speaker, your point is quite clear.
Speaker Babin made a comment as far
all right,
as
so let me just go to Honorable Afenyo-Markin, who is the leader of the MPP side in Parliament. I'll come back to you if I still have time. But Mr. Afenyo-Markin.
Good afternoon, MFA.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. So we're interested in
MFA, please. This afternoon, I want us to have a very friendly conversation. I heard you say, let me go to the leader of MPP in Parliament. MFA, with respect, I want us to address issues before we continue the interview. Most respectfully and most decently. Respectfully. I don't want us to have a banter. Please kindly address me my status in Parliament properly so that we can all have a friendly chat. If you cannot do so, I don't want us to have a banter. Because I heard you say the leader of the MPP side in Parliament.
Because of the proceedings that has happened today, especially because of those ended.
Let's have a conversation. Well, what's happening today? Mr. Speaker said he has received the ruling of the Supreme Court. And he went ahead to say that he doesn't have a quorum. And that is irrelevant to the issue of my status in Parliament. So let's address it properly. I beg you. so that we can stop this banter between myself and Joy FM. We've been good friends. He acknowledged that Supreme Court served him yesterday in his own way. So if he has been said, give effect to the service. And you and I know the service, the ruling of the court. He said so. He didn't say that he is not yielding obedience to the Supreme Court ruling. So let's start from there to have a beautiful conversation, my dear.
Today, I'm very much interested in what the NPP seeks to address legally, especially with the way today ended in Parliament.
Emefa, with the greatest respect to you and to your platform, if you cannot give a proper meaning to Mr. Speaker's acknowledgement of Supreme Court decision, and you are subjecting it to another interpretation, and accordingly you wouldn't want to recognize me as the majority leader of Parliament, and you can recognize MPP as a majority caucus. Let's leave it there. Most respect.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would have thought that substantively Ghanaians would like to hear from you, but if you're unable to talk to us, thank you for your time today. If I still have Mr. Kofi Adams on, do I still have Mr. Kofi Adams on?
Yes,
clearly,
and I'm coming back.
Clearly, per the votes and proceedings of Thursday, 17th October, which was corrected today and accepted by the House, the ruling of Mr. Speaker on Thursday is, for as far as we are concerned, what remains. And the MPP side is recognized as the minority side per the votes and proceedings of Thursday, 17th October, which was today corrected and approved by the House.
So today we picked the indication that Mr. Speaker's lawyers had filed also a stay of that order that the Supreme Court had also ordered. What does that mean, so that we have clarity today? In
the Speaker's formal communication to the House, he indicated clearly to us that he's received a service from the court. Beyond that, he never made any comment about what transpired in the court. And so for our brothers who chose not to sit in the chamber, and they were sitting in their offices, to be telling us what transpired in the House when they were not there, for me, it's interesting. They chose not to sit in there. But before Mr. Speaker came in, there was a conclave. At that conclave, numbers were known. So when Mr. Speaker resumed his seat, he knew the minority side, the MPP side, was completely empty. He also knew that some members of the majority side, that is the NDC, are not around and will therefore not be present. So right from the word go, Mr. Speaker knew the majority side, which is the NDC, do not have all our 136 present.
Thank you so much, Mr.
When Mr. Speaker says we did not have the numbers, as per Article 104, nobody should be interpreting that to mean 138.
Your point is well noted. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today on Election Brief. We are your home. Well, I was just going to go back to Honorable Asif, if you're still on.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Let me take your final words. You heard from your leader.
But MFA, knowing you, with your professionality and with your humility, ever since I got to know you, respectfully, I have given you basis and evidence.
You have given me you have given me what the Article 104 purports to mean. On the face of it, 104.
In your understand, 104.
Yes.
Actually indicates that you need a certain quorum to pass a decision in Parliament.
Absolutely.
And so I am telling you the effect of the ruling of the Speaker of Parliament. And you will bear me out that the effect is that, indeed, they do not have the numbers to be able to make any decision or pass any decision in Parliament. So I am surprised that you are failing to address my leader as the majority leader of Parliament.
I can only stick to the proceedings in Parliament today. I wouldn't have to put interpretation on Article 104 myself, Honorable.
Yeah,
But let
no,
me
you're
bring
not
in
putting any
Honorable.
interpretation on it, but the Speaker himself said that he cannot conduct business as far as passage of any decision in Parliament is concerned. Did he say that or he did not say that?
All right.
And that makes you majority side.
Let me bring Cletus Avocat on there. Hello, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm surprised about the splitting of hairs over nothing. Articles 102 and 104 do not deal with who is the leader, majority,
Leader or who is the majority. Exactly.
I'm surprised that they're splitting hairs over this. Article 102 talks about quorum, and that's
Yes.
1/3 of the members of parliament, which the speaker alluded to. Article 104 talks about half of the members of parliament being present to be able to take a decision. The combined effect of these two do not suggest who is minority or who is majority leader of the House. So with the greater respect to them, they are beating about the bush. They are talking about irrelevant matters. What the speaker said was this simple. That one, I've observed that in the chamber, we have enough people to quorum to debate. But I've also observed that we do not have enough members of parliament to take a decision. Against the background, I will adjourn the House any day until further notice. That is all. So this issue, you should address me as majority leader or this and that is neither here nor there.
Okay.
And with the great respect, I thought that the government, members of parliament who are members of government, who belong to the government side, should be more sober and reflective.
Okay.
And make sure that the House is done.
Okay.
If they were in their chamber today, the speaker would have been compelled to do business. Their bills, etc., their loan agreement would have been taken because we would have had a quorum and would have had also the numbers to take the decision.
Okay.
They boycotted, and that is why the House was unable to do business. And they should curse themselves for this type of development. But let me finally say this: I think that as a member of the defunct Consultative Assembly that drew the 1992 Constitution, I thought that we are not addressing the spirit and the intent of the Constitution.
Okay, so I still have Honorable Afenyo-Markin on the line.
Hello.
All right, thank you for staying with me. And so you understand that today's matter is a subject of controversy. And we just want to get your reactions on what happened today.
All right, so I wasn't on the floor. So let me first give you a background to it. Okay, so Mr. Speaker called for a pre-sitting meeting, which is something that he normally does. So at the pre-sitting meeting, he called the leadership of both sides. The majority leader, he addressed me as such when we were at the pre-sitting, addressed the NDC leader as minority leader, and he put 3 issues before us. Issue number 1 was that as a result of his pronouncement last Thursday, knowing also that there was an issue that I had filed at the Supreme Court, he is acknowledging to us that the Supreme Court has served him with a ruling, and that he's going to announce the ruling to the House when we sit. Second, he also informed us that as a result of that information he's going to give, there will be the need for us to engage as a House. And thirdly, he said that he is aware that our colleagues on the other side have taken our seat, and that sitting, this one for emphasis, sitting in the chamber and arrangement there too, is not his responsibility, is that of the clerk to Parliament. I repeat, Mr. Speaker said he is aware of the sitting in Parliament, that is, our colleagues haven't taken our seats. But that is not his responsibility. That is the responsibility of the clerk to Parliament. Okay. Then I came in to draw his attention that then he would have to speak to them to move before. Then our colleagues on the other side, led by Dr. Forson, said, well, They are sitting there because of his earlier pronouncement. Until he makes a further pronouncement, they will not move. I engaged the clerk, and the clerk said that he did not remove my name tag from my seat, and that administratively, they acknowledged that the NDC MPP side is a majority, and so they didn't move our seat. So I reiterated to Mr. Speaker that to avoid a needless confrontation, because these are our friends. Ato and I share the same esprit de corps. Ami Agboja and I, we are friends. Ama Kofibwa is our senior brother. I mean, I cannot foresee a confrontation, all because of this constitutional lacuna of a sort. Therefore, I respectfully told Mr. Speaker that our side will yield the chamber to them for them to make, for him to make his pronouncement. And I thanked him respectfully, bowed, and then left. Now, events upon sitting. So I watched proceedings from my office. One, Mr. Speaker confirmed in his public pronouncement what he had already told us by announcing to the whole world that the Supreme Court ruling has been served on him. Then he went on to introduce something very strange, but he's a politician. So I can understand the game he played on that stage. He said that, he was going to skip the proceedings. You know, normally there's a roll call. Today being the first day of sitting, after the pledge, we were supposed to do the roll call. But Mr. Speaker is a very smart politician. He has a way he does his political mischief. So he avoided the roll call. Then when he avoided the roll call, he came to do the vote and proceeding. Then now he went on his own in reading the formal communication from the Chief Justice. In reading his formal communication, which communication had to do with the ruling of the Supreme Court. Then he veered off by saying that, he's going into Article 102 or 104, and there is no quorum to take a decision, and there's a quorum to do sitting. But those are needless issues, because if his intent was to establish quorum, then there should have been a roll call. But he avoided the roll call, which is part of our proceedings, if you check the other paper.
We'll come back to the roll call now, Mr. Afenyo-Markin, but let's go back to that meeting.
I'm taking my time to explain.
Before we get to that, please, let's get back to the meeting. Did you leave that meeting with an indication that the Speaker was going to adjourn Parliament today? Did you?
Sorry about that, my dear. I skipped that important information. So he told us, the last point he made was to the effect that after informing us of the ruling, he would adjourn the House indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
So I asked him, for what reason? He said that, he wants to have some consultation because he's received a lot of guests expressing certain views about some constitutional issues and all. I said, Mr. Speaker, that one is to you, but you know we have government business to do. He said, he wants to adjourn Sinidi, and as soon as he is done, he will call Parliament on emergency. I said, okay, that's fine. That's okay. So let's go back to the point I was making. Now, if you look at our other paper for Tuesday, 22nd day of October, today, item number 1, prayers, he did it. Item number 2, roll call, he avoided roll call. He said he was skipping. So he skipped that important roll call. Then he came to item 3, national prayer. Then item 4, no message from president. Then he went on with the formal communication by speaker. Now, my question is very simple. How do you state in your formal communication, which is already a prepared speech, that there is a lack of quorum when you avoided the roll call.
But Mr. Afenyo-Markin, it was quite obvious that your side was not in the chamber. How then was he going to take the roll call?
Oh, madam. Roll call is done regardless. You don't need everybody in the chamber before you do a roll call. Before roll call, you want me to educate on proceedings. So allow me to explain to you.
Please proceed.
Roll call is done regardless of who is in the chamber. So you do the roll call to establish the numbers. That is why the clerk at table will do a roll call. And the question that must be asked is this: why did the speaker avoid a roll call? And two, what was the essence of the quorum issue he raised in his formal communication? Because your formal communication was to inform the House that subsequent to your decision of Thursday, the Supreme Court has stayed your decision. And you rightly said you have received the Supreme Court ruling and referred to me and my suit. So you were supposed to then go out and go move the next step by reading out the decision of the court. Again, at pre-sitting, you acknowledge that our friends, oppositors, are not supposed to be seated at your right. Why didn't he talk about that one too publicly? Why didn't he acknowledge the fact that indeed they have forcefully sat at our place, and that is the responsibility of the clerk to take them back to where they're supposed to be? 3, Dr. Forson, who is the minority leader and the leader of the NDC caucus, told him that, Mr. Speaker, we are unable to move because we are relying on your formal communication to the House on Thursday. So if you've now received the Supreme Court ruling, we would only move after you have made that pronouncement. That was Atu's justification, which I said, look, we are gentlemen. We should avoid any brow. So if Mr. Speaker is now putting the blame on the clerk for not preventing them from sitting where we are supposed to be, then it is fine. You should go ahead and make known to them the ruling of the Supreme Court. But for me, introducing quorum and all that is needless, because I don't know how that got introduced into the whole equation at all, because he has avoided the roll call and he said he was going to vary. These were his words. He was going to vary the order of proceeding. As to why he avoided the order of proceeding, like I said, it's up to him.
Mr. Afenyo-Markin, what would happen going forward?
What do you mean exactly, please?
After today's proceedings and the adjournment, what would happen, subject of government business, obviously, what would happen going forward?
Well, first of all, Mr. Speaker has yielded to the authority of the Supreme Court. That has been established, and I respect him for that. Second, he tells me he wants to do some consultation because he thinks that there is tension in the House and that he's going to adjourn immediately. He has. What he hasn't done is to give an indication how many days he needs for his consultation. So I would wait patiently upon him so that I know the next step to take in consultation with the caucus.
Will you wait indefinitely? Will there be any move on your side to get Parliament to recall the House?
You yourself acknowledge that we have government business. First of all, I need to accord the chair that respect. And for me, the most important thing in all these is the Supreme Court intervention. And once he has yielded to the authority of the Supreme Court, that is the first point that settles the matter and it brings clarity that he does not have a ruling pending, or there is no subsisting ruling or opinion expressed by him in the House which has the effect of law and which is binding on us. At least he has yielded that his orders have been vacated by the subsequent decision of the Supreme Court.
Thank you for
talking.
He
has also respectfully told me, as a leader of the House, and he kept mentioning majority leader, he kept mentioning majority leader. He has accorded me that respect. I would give him back the same respect. He says he wants some consultation and he's going to adjourn Senate. I would give him that due. He has not given me the time, the time frame within which to get back to me. I'll give him that respect. And then we take a step after that.
Thank you, Mr. Afenyo-Markin, for talking to us. Thank you also, Mr. Cletus Avoka, and thank you as well, Vincent Eko Asifa. Thank you as well to Mr. Kofi Adams. This is Joy News. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. My name is Emefa Akosia Adeti.